fantastical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL Network.
Yes, that is right. Welcome to the SNL Network Saturday Night Hot Take Show right after the Billie Eilish episode. She did double duty, and what a great job by Billie Eilish. It's not so easy to perform double duty on SNL and to be able to do all those sketches and her two musical performances. Really great job to Billie. And we are going to break down all of those sketches, not only with three amazing panelists, but with you in the chat. So we want to make sure to get your thoughts throughout the evening as we break down everything from this episode. And joining us, coming on in with his pimp walk, it's Andrew Haynes. Haynes, how are you?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Not ready to share my opinions on that sketch just yet, but definitely looking forward to talking about a lot of stuff tonight.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it too, buddy. And joining us for the first time in season 47, she was such an amazing part of our coverage in season 46, and I'm so thrilled to have her back on the podcast. It is the great Liz Shannon Miller. Liz, how are you?
Doing great. I was just joking about it being past my bedtime, but it feels weird to be doing this after 10 o'clock at night, and I can't even imagine what you guys are feeling like.
Yes, exactly. And Liz is on the West Coast. So yes. For us, we do this and we're here every single week. So if this is your first time joining us on the Hot Take Show, we're here after every single SNL episode to break down all of the sketches. And joining us once again, she was with us earlier in the week for the premiere of her show with Nicole Rovine, Hollywood Dish. It is the great Rebecca North. Rebecca, how are you?
I'm good. This is my first Hot Take show, so I'm really excited to be able to join. And just like Liz, I'm on the West Coast, so I can't complain about being tired. I'll leave that up to you, John and Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, there's no complaining on the podcast. We can only do that before the podcast. So, all right, let's get into it. The way we start off our show is we do a hot take or headline from the night. So we are, where we are at in the SNL season is we're headed right towards that big Christmas break. That's like the nexus point in the season, right in the middle where we get to evaluate the first half of the season. And we have this episode and then obviously Paul Rudd coming in next week. So let's talk about Billie Eilish overall tonight and what we thought of the episode. Haynes, what is your headline for the night?
Well, my headline was that, we knew Kate was coming back and they didn't shy away from her a bit. It was like she wasn't gone for a minute. She came in and is as dominant as she's ever been. She's obviously, the star of the show, or at least that's the way they continue to treat her. And so that's my big headline.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I mean, that was definitely noticeable. And that was my big question mark coming in tonight was how would Kate be used in her first night back? Liz, what were your thoughts on the evening? Any hot take from you?
I think the hottest take is just watching Billie Eilish set herself up as not an actor, and then I don't want to say prove it. I think she did a great job. I just think if this was her batting, she did just great for what it was.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, Liz, I was gonna say I think that in a lot of sketches tonight, I actually found that Billie was the best part of some of the certain sketches tonight, and that was crazy to me to see that the sketch improved actually when Billie Eilish, who is not necessarily known for acting, comes on in and improves the sketches. That was interesting to me, so that's something that I was looking at throughout the night. Rebecca.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
sorry. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah. Just to follow up on that, I just want to say I do really appreciate the fact that she got to be weird. That's always a lovely thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Okay, Rebecca, what was your hot take from the night?
I mean, you guys took both of my hot takes, so I'll give a different one, but +1 to both of yours because I initially was talking about Kate being back and then Billie having her debut as host. But I guess my other hot take is just Punky killing it on Beacon Update. She did such a good job, and that's something that stands out to me in my head tonight so far.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that, everything that we have been talking about is probably where my head is at about the evening. The only thing is that we were talking about Kate coming back and how that was going to affect the show. And I don't think, you can, unlike sports, and we often make sports comparisons to SNL, I don't think that, the star player comes back and then suddenly, people are put on the bench. I don't think it's exactly a one-for-one comparison. But tonight was a really good example for me of what happens sometimes when, Kate McKinnon comes back like a star of SNL, and how it affects the overall structure of the show as opposed to individual people. And one of the things I want to point out to the panelists and to the chat was originally the show was supposed to end with 2 more sketches that got cut, one being something from Please Don't Destroy, which was, a pre-tape that we've seen several of them throughout the season. And then another one was the second edition of an Angelo sketch that we got to see from Aristotle. And that one was written by the Please Don't Destroy guys again. And in this case, we had 2 sketches at the end of the episode that actually didn't make it into the show, that were cut live because the show was running late. And it's an example for me of where you may think, if it wasn't Kate returning and we had to get Kate on screen, we may not have put that hotel ad sketch in at the end. We may have actually put Angelo in. So little structural things that I think are very interesting to talk about as you analyze the episode as a whole. And we're going to be doing that the entire week. Okay. Let's go sketch by sketch and let's talk through everything that we got to see from tonight. Chat, what I would love is please let us know your thoughts on each sketch as we go through them, and we will bring them up on screen so we can share your thoughts with everybody. All right, so we start with our cold open tonight, and of course, Kate McKinnon is back as Anthony Fauci, and she says, or as Fauci says, I'm back, and we get to talk a little bit about Omicron. We see the second version of the CDC players. Originally, we saw this last season with the Keegan-Michael Key episode, and we have different pairs coming in to act out different scenarios about the holiday season. So, Haynes, how are you feeling about the cold open we saw tonight?
The cold open was pretty good. We did have kind of a lot of sketches tonight that had a large group of cast members. It kind of involved a lot of different players, and I do enjoy that. I got definitely some good laughs. One of my favorites might have been Kyle delivering his line as Santa about the swollen nuts. And so there's a lot of misinformation that we're seeing in this sketch, and I thought it was pretty good overall. Of course, we get the return of A.D. Bryant as Ted Cruz, or the weirdo with the beardo. So I like that, and my favorite line probably was. So I love Cecily Strong as Marjorie Taylor Greene, but then when Bobart called her Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she says it's pronounced gun. So that was maybe my favorite line of the skit. I like this cold open, pretty good for me.
Okay, Liz, what were your thoughts on the cold open we saw tonight?
I don't think I'm as positive on it. I think I'm really glad to see if the cold opens take different formats than just like a direct address from the president, that sort of thing. I like that there was a game to this one, but I feel like the game got muddled by then, like, all of a sudden all the CDC players have been replaced by our political impressions. All the impressions, of course, were very solid, and I thought, a lot of fun. But I feel like it was like a hat. I feel like the term is a hat on the hat to some extent.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think where this cold open might work, Rebecca, is if you find like some of these players and the CDC players particularly appealing. Like if there was one particular aspect of this, but I wonder if like the sum equaled what they were hoping for with this. Did it work for you?
No, I'm more on Liz's side of it was fine. And also I'm seeing a lot of this in the chat. I was so excited when we saw the CDC players again because last season's was so funny, but it was kind of just redundant on that. And that was funnier because all this stuff was newer. And now that we're 2 years into COVID, it's not super funny anymore. It's super played out. I find all over the internet and all the jokes. So it didn't really do it for me. I mean, the impressions were solid all around, and seeing Kate right off the bat just made me smile. But I thought they could have done something a little differently with the CDC players that wasn't the exact same sketch.
Yeah, and one of the things that we found out a lot is that this season the cold opens are written at the very last minute a lot of times, and this is something that's happened for many years, but really in particular like this season they've been leaving the cold opens for the last minute. I guess the news cycle is so changing all the time that they want to be able to throw different things in there, but I find that comes at a detriment potentially sometimes of like what we can get to see when you fully flesh out an idea in the cold open. So that was a little to me it did feel like a little bit all over the place, but I definitely have to rewatch this one. I think the one interesting note was no James Austin Johnson, which was the second time we haven't seen him in the cold open this season, and then first time we haven't seen Alex Moffat in a cold open all season. So that's different. Okay, let's talk about the monologue. We get to see Billie Eilish come out, and we were talking about solo monologues this entire season, and we only really saw the Wilson brothers in the first episode, and ever since that, during the entire season, it's just been solo monologues. And Billie Eilish's mom comes in and breaks that streak for us. But we had a few different parts and a few different interesting aspects of Billie Eilish talking about her role as host on this episode. Liz, can I start with you on this one? Can you tell me your thoughts on Billie Eilish's monologue?
Well, I think I already mentioned the part where she literally, is like, establishing her non-acting credits. And I really actually enjoyed a lot of the jokes in the cold open, not the cold open, I'm sorry, the monologue. But I did have this thought of watching it with my own mother and being like, see, I don't do that. I don't turn our passive aggressive feud into nationally televised comedy. I have no feuds with my mother at this time, but anyways, the point is simply I thought it was a good bit. I think I think she seemed maybe a little nervous, but I thought she had some good jokes in there. Like I said.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people were asking or saying online, like, this was definitely a Che written monologue. And it actually wasn't. It was Mike DiCenzo, new writer, who has written a ton of the monologues this season, and Jake Nordwind. So they teamed up for the monologue this evening. Rebecca, what were your thoughts on the monologue?
I think it was kind of the perfect formula for what I expected for Billie to do. I know she was super young and she does not do acting, and she made that very clear. And I kind of assumed she would kind of bring up the fact that she doesn't really do this anymore. So happy that she got that out there, probably calmed her nerves for the rest of it to be like, all right, I prefaced them and they know not to expect a lot from me. And she was super nervous, but the whole thing was kind of just cute and heartwarming to see. Like, she was just really excited to be there. And I think having her mom was so sweet, because typically she does have Phineas at a lot of these things and we never really get to see her interact with her mom, even at like the Grammys, for example. So it's cool that like this was such a big deal to her that she wanted her mom there, and probably also appealed to a lot of mothers who don't necessarily know Billie Eilish that well or aren't big fans, that they see the side of her to be like, oh, I can imagine my daughter going on SNL. And I think they kind of set the tone great for the episode.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And by the way, I see a lot of people in the chat are saying, this is still a solo monologue. I guess there was no other cast members in the monologue. So yeah, I mean, as far as these stats go, I mean, we do this as a community. So if people still feel like this is a solo monologue, I'm okay with that. But I just will say there hasn't been an additional person with lines in the monologue since the premiere, at least. Haynes, what were your thoughts on the monologue tonight?
I thought the monologue was pretty good. I think that Lauren loves moms. It's pretty obvious at this point. We see moms join on the show a lot more than dads, that's for sure. So this was pretty fun to me. Yeah, she came out as Mrs. Claus going to the club, I guess was what they referred to that as. And it, like Liz said, I did think there were a lot of good jokes. I also thought this was a really well-written monologue. We learned that the reason she wears baggy clothes is because she used to be two kids stacked on top of each other. I thought that was a pretty good line. And the story about the film story was great. So that was really good. And then, of course, we get the cameo by Phineas's mom. But guys, we are burying the lead here. I mean,
okay,
we got to see 16-year-old Colin Jost. And he looked like a PC repair guy from 1998, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jimmy Fallon played a PC repair guy from 1998 on the show once, but that was a recurring character of Jimmy's. But really good point, Haynes. So yeah, this was really fun. It was great to see Billie, and like I said, I didn't know exactly how she was going to be on the show. I know her more for her singing than anything else in terms of her personality and out there. And I think that's a lot of our audience doesn't necessarily know Billie Eilish that way. But I think after tonight, you really felt like you got to know her a little bit more, and that's really what you want in somebody who's coming in who's not your typical actor actress coming into the show. So that was really nice. Okay, let's talk about Christmas cards. So that's our first sketch we got to see, and really the first of many sketches that had a lot of cast members in it. There was parts that really worked for me in this sketch, and then parts that didn't. So I want to break it down with all of you, and then chat. Let me know what your favorite parts were about Christmas cards, or maybe parts you didn't love. Rebecca, can I start with you on this one? Tell me what you thought of Christmas cards.
I thought it was really great. I know a lot of the times they reached out to a lot of stereotypes that like a lot of us could relate to and see like, oh, I know this person. And that's always funny because everyone has their personal anecdote for the character. And I think that they were really successful in this. And even just seeing Billie's first kind of acting on the show besides her monologue, I thought she was probably one of the funniest characters there, just being that person that tormented you in high school and just wants to rub everything in her friends' faces from high school. So it was awesome to see right off the bat, like Billie making me laugh. And you could tell she was nervous and she was like chuckling a little then, but it felt great to just see all of this and get a lot of cast members spotlight, which is cool. And also just to touch upon one other thing that Andrew mentioned is that she did talk about her body. And I found just starting here, it kind of cemented that they were going to respect how she likes to dress and they weren't going to make her wear something skin tight if she's not super comfortable. And I think that they kind of catered to her, which is awesome to make a 19-year-old who's going on public television who gets a lot of ridicule for what she wears in her body. And I found that they really respected it throughout the episode. So that was something that also made me happy.
Yeah, that's a great point. Haynes, what were your thoughts on this first sketch we got to see tonight, the Christmas cards?
Yeah, so I agree with a point that's been made already, which there was kind of some hit or miss going on here. It was extremely relatable. I mean, I think they did a good job with that. We all get the cards. It seems like multiple come from pregnant people, and for some reason, I really do get one from my dentist every year. So not sure what the need for that is. The puppet for the gay couple with the dying dog, the puppet for the dying dog was pretty fun. I liked that. He was weird and creepy. And but to me, the highlights were, I did like the card with the Ruth. I guess it was Ruth's card, Punky as Ruth with the Miley cameo. That was a good bit. But the Harper card was the best, even though, as people have said so far, Billie Eilish did maybe seem a little bit nervous in the monologue. Well, I think maybe she was still a little bit nervous at this point. You could see her kind of hesitating when she was delivering her lines, but the Harper card was written really well. And so I think it was a highlight still.
Liz, that's exactly how I felt as well. And I can't wait to get your opinion because I was watching this and it wasn't really doing a lot for me. I thought the Miley cameo really boosted it. But then Billie as Harper totally changed my opinion about this entire sketch. And I just wish we got more of that. What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, agreed. I think that was a shining moment. I think also, but I do want to call back to the punky bit because I thought that was just one of many moments where she was, I think, kind of unexpectedly my cast member of the night. I thought she had some, we've already touched on that already, but I think but yeah, it's not just how good that creepy dog puppet was. It's also I mean, I have those friends where it's yes, I've spent thousands of dollars on my deceased pet, and it's so cruel to laugh at that, but also that I thought that those details really worked for me in this bit.
Yeah. I just liked the boring husband who cheats on me, and then Aristotle had a really good line here, and then the son who was turning into an incel. I just really felt I was I would love to see this family more. Take this family out of the sketch and give them their own sketch. There was a lot here. So
yeah, what was Dismuke's line? Something like, "It's all girls' fault that they don't like me," or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Andrew Underrated does some really great voice work with characters like this, and I think that was really cool to see. Okay, so this was really interesting for me because we have this one sketch where it had a ton of people, and then we go to a pre-tape, and this TikTok pre-tape with a ton of people. And as we go around the panel and talk about this, I'm just going to say my opinion first on this one. This one worked so much better for me than the Christmas cards. And it's not that necessarily that I relate to TikToks more than Christmas cards. I definitely watch TikToks and I have received Christmas cards. But there was just something about the fact that we were going through everything. And I don't know why. It just, this one works so much better. And I'm still trying to figure that out. And I would love to analyze that with all of you. So Haynes, can I start with you? Am I wrong here, or did you love the other one more?
I think I think maybe this one was a little bit more consistent in the way everything was delivered, but I don't know if it had any super hard-hitting jokes. I mean, it was funny seeing the dance trends and they kind of touch back on several of these jokes a couple times. We get to see, one of these TikTok people and then they come back to them. I think rap covers on guitar is a very real thing that we all have to fear and just pay attention to in the world around us. I wasn't dying laughing at anything in this, but I didn't have a problem with it. I did like that we got a reprise of James Austin Johnson as Homer. So I'm not sure how much more we'll see that in the future, but we've gotten 2 now so far, so that's fun.
Yeah, and I was going to say on that note, Andrew doing Lil Wayne's Lollipop, I felt like at this point in 2021 was like a little bit of a deep cut. Like I didn't feel like that was just like such an obvious, like everybody would know that, but that was really good. Liz, was there anything that you really enjoyed from the TikTok sketch?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that made it almost a next level bit of comedy for Saturday Night Live is the fact that there was an actual point of view in terms of, like, not to get like film school-y about it, but like there was an, narrative purpose to the frame. You had the framing device of the son like ignoring text messages from his father, which led up to a really solid button on the whole bit. Like I thought on a conceptual writing level it was really, really smartly done. I do not go on TikTok enough to speak to the veracity of the actual stuff being parodied, but even just knowing what I do about TikTok as well, like that also did feel authentic.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of the stuff was really legit. And Rebecca, I think the one thing that got me, my laugh out loud moment of this sketch was 80 Bryant, and when the screen read like so good at Segs, which you put like the S3 GGS, and it just like her character in this was amazing to me.
Oh, I'm gonna rain on all your parades. I thought the sketch was so bad.
Why?
It was so cringy. Like I'm a TikTok fiend, so I'm on it all the time. And they did nail everything. Don't get me wrong, but what it would have been funny in all the pandemic episodes or really early on when TikTok was like something that people still joked about before it became like, imagine they did this for Instagram. Like it wouldn't be funny because they're like, okay, Instagram's a staple. Like why are we still making fun of it? It's been so long. And I see it from the point of view of them being like, ooh, Billie Eilish is hosting a musical guest. We're going to get a really young audience tonight. Let's be relatable to them. And like, I thought it was like cringy the whole time for me. And like, I did chuckle a few times, but like, it would have been so funny if they did it last year. But now it's just like, oh, okay, why are we doing this now?
Okay.
Is this a generational thing, do we think? Like,
no, you know what I think it is, Liz? I think it's I don't know if it's generational necessarily, but I think it's like there is some type of like curve here that the longer that you've been on TikTok, the less funny this sketch is. I think that's what it is. So it's like if you've never been on TikTok, this doesn't work for you. But if you've been on TikTok like 0 to 1 year, then this is really great. I think that's like something like this. Anyone got anything else on the TikTok pre-tape? Okay, well, we're going to make sure to talk about our favorite parts throughout the week as well for people who did enjoy this. Then we got Hip Hop Nativity. So, Liz.
Oh, boy, I get to start with this one.
Yeah, let me start with you. Yeah.
It was a funny excuse to watch everyone dance funny in funny costumes. And I respect that deeply. So I don't think it was my favorite sketch of the night, but I didn't turn it off.
Okay. that's fair.
Which is I know that's not like the highest of praise. It was fun, and everyone really committed to the bit, which I appreciated.
Well, I'm glad you didn't turn it off because you came on this podcast with us, so I appreciate
of course.
that. Rebecca, did Hip Hop Nativity do it more for you than the TikTok sketch? Okay.
Yeah, I thought this was funny. I don't know. Like, I have such an easy sense of humor that, like, do something stupid and I'm going to laugh at you. So I thought this was, like, the dumbest idea. Like, it felt like Billy and Heidi were, like, two friends. And they're like, what could we do that's funny? Like, let's just go on the stage. Like, they were both breaking character. And Billy was just, like, there was one specific part where, like, Heidi bumped into her and Billy just looked down and, like, lost it. And I thought it was just so dumb and so funny. When they stuffed Andrew's butt with the hay, I was like, they were scrambling to do it. Didn't really feel like that was well rehearsed. And I don't know. I thought it was just dumb humor. I'm not going to say like favorite of the night, but I laughed.
Okay. All right. Haynes, you gave for all our audio listeners, you gave a major thumbs down when we brought up the sketch. So give us your thoughts.
So I'm really glad that it worked for someone because they did, they had to write it, they rehearsed it, they, put it on national television. So good for them. I'm glad that some people enjoyed it. I thought it was shit. I thought they leaned way too hard into the pimp walk thing. It seemed like it just kept going and going. I was waiting for the next joke, and then it really felt like it actually felt like the sketch maybe went on about 45 seconds longer than it should have, and at least the audience knew better. Like, you heard the audience start to clap almost as if it was the end of the sketch, and then they just kept dancing for like another 45 seconds. And I'm like, we didn't need this. The audience didn't need this. We're all on the same page. What happened with you guys? I had a problem with this one. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and to Roller Coaster Rider's point here in the chat, he did like how Chris Red wanted to learn hip hop, but I do feel like the Chris Red playing on the hip hop stuff, like I felt like there was something there. I just don't know if they like cracked it fully. So, yeah, I guess we can move on from this. But yeah, the pimp walk got me for like 2 seconds, and then I think it didn't work after that. Okay, let's talk about Lonely Christmas ad. Something that I think worked a lot better for me. Rebecca, can I start with you? What did you think about Lonely Christmas ad?
Like, you probably shouldn't start with me.
Okay.
Yeah, start with someone else. Like, I'll just give my 1 minute opinion. Like, I thought this was the funniest sketch I've seen in a while. And like,
okay, so then why do you want to talk about it?
Because like, I can't stop laughing when I think about it. Like,
okay,
I don't know why. It really just hit me like so hard. And I think maybe because I was like laughing and being goofy from the last sketch, that it kind of just like led right into this. But I thought this was like the funniest sketch I've seen in a while. And just, I don't know, it was pretty genius because you always see those commercials that have a somber kind of story of like an old person, or like gum commercials for like the weird kid in school. And they always kind of had this running theme. So to make fun of that was really smart. But to have this old woman be out of her mind and a potential killer, and also keeping her son and keeping him sick and being racist
that was her
and
son?
anti-Semitic.
Did I miss that? That was her. That was her son.
It was her son.
I don't think it was ever said.
Okay.
Well, I implied, but it's I might have been wrong. But yeah, this one like was my favorite of the night by far.
Yeah, if that was her son, that takes a whole new level of crazy.
I thought it was like Munchausen's. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, the escalation on this was like went from like 0 to 100 to like 500 really quickly. Haynes, did you love this as much as me?
I am 100% on the same page as Rebecca. I freaking loved this. I thought it was amazing. You are right. The escalation really skyrocketed. And I think in that way, it was similar to, kind of the December to Remember sketch, or when, when we do the Christmas episode where she comes to the door with the cards, Hillary Clinton, not just because they're writing to each other, but this just had so many good jokes. It starts off right off the bat just showing us that she's this crazy racist lady, and then she tells us that her family's dead to her because they disgracefully voted for a woman, and then all of a sudden she's like willing to eat dogs, and then she'll eat
anything.
Yeah, and she's feeding the medicine to her boy or her husband or whoever this guy was, and then he goes, "She's keeping me sick," and I'm crying laughing through this.
Yeah.
I'm crying laughing.
Him eating paper, like I just like
yes, every single moment of this worked for me, and but I absolutely loved the narrative that she's like a murderer and a psycho. She says, "I didn't kill my husband, Margaret did," and then he holds up the thing that says she is Margaret. It's like, oh my god. And just the back and forth between him and Billy, like this sketch could not have been any better. I totally agree. It's one of the best ones I've seen in a while. A+++ for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I also think best Kate McKinnon of the night by far for me. Liz, what were your thoughts on it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think what it in talking about it makes me realize is that all of my really truly favorite moments from this era of the writing all come in like just the most pitch black sketches. Like I just there's something about the way that this particular the staff is handling this sort of material that just really highlights for me when SNL can get dark and lets itself get dark. It's some of the most compelling sketch comedy out there. It's why we pay attention.
Yeah, definitely. And our friend Ike Moore in the chat is going to be joining me on the Patreon feedback show this week. Says he feels like this sketch was supposed to be later in the night, but it tested well, so they bumped it up. And that's actually true, Ike. They did actually move that sketch up from later on in the evening to earlier. I guess it was working very well. Okay, so really great way to, end off the first half of the evening, and then we get to some Billie Eilish music. And I know we don't usually do music on this, but I will say like a couple things, and maybe if the panel is familiar with Billie Eilish, if you guys want to comment as well. The seats in front of the musical guest stage, that was really cool, and not something that's usually there. I have been to the show live before, and typically you'll have maybe some cast members, maybe some family and friends, or people who are there to support the musical guest come on out and stand and watch in front of the stage. But to put seats in front of the stage, to me, that was something I had actually never seen before. So I thought that was interesting, and obviously something probably Billie had asked for. Rebecca, I know you're a big fan of Billie Eilish. I think you had mentioned before. So any thoughts on the music you saw tonight?
I thought it was so good. And it's for someone who I wouldn't say she's like really dances, and she told such a good story with just like kind of the filming of it and the whole layout of the stage and starting back and then showing the audience, and it just like took us kind of through a journey. And when it stopped going from more of the slower to the strobe lights and like rockabilly portion, like I was just in awe of her, and like this is why she is so good, and this is why she's 19 years old and just kills it and does such a good job. And I was so impressed, and I'm not surprised because her last performance with kind of the optical illusion like blew my mind also. So this was a lot more simple, and she told a story, and she did such a good job. So I was so excited to like look forward for her next one.
For sure. And Haynes, like as a creative thinker, Billie Eilish, like when you see her always like thinking about other things she could do with her performances, it's just really like inspiring to get to see stuff like that. Did you enjoy the music you got to see tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. And the most impressive thing probably to me was the way it was shot. And I think we've talked about this on another show leading up to this, just how cool and innovative her last performance was with the rotating room. And obviously we had that incredible interview with Don Roy King where he talks about, how complicated that was. But Lauren, doesn't like to say no. So this was very, very cool. I loved the way it opened up, inside that room. And then of course the walls part and we get to see the audience and flip the camera around. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a very catchy song. It's a great song. And Billie did a great job performing it. But I feel like the way it was shot just really uplifted the whole thing, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Liz, any thoughts on the music you got to see tonight?
I mean, I thought it was great. I think I love the fact that she is always proving innovative with their staging, and which is always exciting to see. And it makes me realize I should really watch that Disney Plus documentary she did, because I imagine that there's that same sort of vibe to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's just cool. I mean, that's really, like I said, all you want in a new host and, somebody who's doing double duties, get to know them better. And I feel like we really got to do that tonight from watching Billie Eilish. Okay, let's talk about Weekend Update. Weekend Update was really interesting, and it was a little bit of a change of pace where we got to see some of the newbies come back and actually have their own update pieces. And I know that some of you were very excited to see Punky Johnson on Weekend Update. So Haynes, let me start with you. Thoughts on Punky, who spoke about rules for the holidays and having a daughter?
Yeah, so I really liked this, but I wouldn't have if it didn't pick up steam the way it did. Like when she first came out, I haven't had enough time to process, what might have been going on, but she wasn't exactly getting a lot of great laughs when when the bit first started. It definitely picked up a lot of steam. I think maybe the first one that I laughed really hard at, and I'm not sure when the audience started laughing really hard because they weren't at first, but I laughed really hard when she said that, you shouldn't make potato salad until you struggle with bone disease. I thought that was pretty good. And and then, I've heard the bit about raising a raising a child as gay parents, and then doing that bit where we make fun of, straight parents who are afraid their kid's going to be gay or don't want their kid to be gay. So I've heard a lot of comedians do this bit before. It wasn't original particularly, but it was very funny, and she hit all the punchlines hard. I was laughing at it. I really enjoyed it. It had a lot of hot steam down through the end, but so yeah, I liked it, especially because it picked up steam toward the end.
Definitely.
It's a host smashing house.
Yeah, exactly. Liz, thoughts on Punky Johnson on Weekend Update?
I thought she was fantastic. I mean, I think I agree with everything Andrew just said about the way kind of she needed a little time to sink it to ease in. But I also think just in general it was weird energy for this Weekend Update. I feel like there was something. Or do you just want to talk about Punky, or can we broaden it out?
Yeah,
too?
whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna say the fact that they did a China joke like that in a way where usually that's the kind of joke you do if it's kind of an FU to the network. I thought, I don't know, that just really stuck out to me as something that the SNL doesn't typically do, and whether or not there was a story behind that.
Interesting. All right, well, we'll look out for something like that to see if there's any commentary on that moving forward. Rebecca, thoughts on Punky Johnson on Weekend Update?
I thought she did a really good job. It definitely was a rough beginning, and I was like, oh no, I wanted to see her so badly, and is this going to bomb right now? And by the end, I think even her jokes weren't that funny, and I'm seeing that in the comments there too, that her energy just really sold it, and it kind of just livened up. And Weekend Update is not usually energetic as in other sketches. They kind of just sit, speak, joke, and next. And her bringing that level of energy made Che laugh, and then that made everyone else laugh. So I thought she did a good job, and I'd love to see her do some more there, because this probably wasn't her strongest writing, but I thought just seeing her energy and the way that you just smile and laugh with her, just really no matter what she's doing, is kind of very Leslie Jones, that she could be saying nothing, but the level of energy she gives, you're going to be laughing along. So I was really excited to see that. And then I thought Andrew's bit was pretty funny, honestly. Also, I didn't really know where he was going to go with the sketch. And then the second that octopus predicted his death, and he just kind of got upset. And then Colin was like, oh, do you want to stop it now? And he's like, no. It's fine. The octopus is right and I'm going to die. Whatever, fine. I thought it was good. And the fact that dog did not face the camera once, I think it saved him kind of for that portion, because that one was the octopus was funnier. But the fact that the dog was not cooperating, and we've seen a lot of live animal sketches, and the last dog didn't really cooperate either, but they get good laughs from it. So I think that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say one more thing about Punky before we move on, which is just that on our recent By the Numbers show that we did a couple weeks back during the SNL off weeks, one of our comments was about Punky Johnson and what, if she was to leave the show tomorrow, what she would be most remembered for. And I really felt like we were missing, we maybe had a couple, we had our own Weekend Update last year. We had her, I think she did an impression of Queen Latifah, was it? And we, I just really felt that we were missing these memorable moments from Punky, and we just want to give her those opportunities. And I'm just really, really happy to say, in a week where there was a lot of, focus on, the old guard coming back into the show, they actually committed to having somebody like Punky on Update, and then Andrew as well. So that was really, really nice. Liz, thoughts on Andrew Dismukes is part of a Weekend Update?
Remember what I was just saying about how my favorite sketches are the dark ones? There we go, another example. And yeah, I think, I'm a sucker for anything involving live animals, especially when the live animal doesn't cooperate. So that was a plus for me. I feel like maybe the thing about having a live animal screw up versus one of the human actors is that that when the human actor is going to get yelled at by Lauren later, the dog, you can't yell at the dog is just being a dog. So it's like all the joys of watching somebody break without feeling bad about the fact that they're going to get yelled at later. So anyways, with all that being said, good bit, love the bit. Especially love the way they played it for drama. That was the touch that made it work.
Definitely. And for sure. And like the thing was, they knew they were live. I'm sure they were thinking to themselves, like, the dog's never going to turn around. Like, what are we going to do? And they just went with it. And I think that's what really made me enjoy that aspect of it. Haynes, thoughts on Andrew Dismuke's Amazing Animals?
I loved this. Absolutely loved this. And like I think Rebecca said, definitely didn't know exactly where it was going to go at first. But you know, obviously we've kind of recapped what happened, but I was wiping tears out of my eyes after he said, "Oh, octopus, you see what man cannot." I don't know why that hit me so hard, but then when they put up the farewell, sweet prince, I was wiping tears out of my eyes. I couldn't believe how funny it was. And when they brought the dog out, you know, I was wondering, you know, is this dog also just, you know, going to maybe foretell his death in another way, or what are we going to do with this dog? Is it going to be a completely different thing that he has to deal with, a different issue that he's dealing with from the dog that was maybe also scary? I love how they doubled down, and then the dog was just like, you know, are you really going to die? Are you afraid? And it was just this like sweet, like childlike character, like learning that, you know, that like their grandparent got cancer or something and trying to process it. So I thought that was a really interesting angle, and it was absolutely loved the bit.
Yeah. And the thing about like SNL with Farewell Sweet Prince is, I don't know if anybody else, like longtime SNL fans, had thought of this as well, but like I know that they did a tribute to Prince after he had passed, and it was called Farewell Sweet Prince. So I actually was wondering if that was like a self-referential thing at a certain point, but obviously I think this was just part of the sketch. Like, look, for me, I really loved what we got to see from Andrew here. Like I said, just them giving him the opportunity to go on there and be by himself, him coming in with the face paint. Like I felt like he was fully committed to the bit. So I just like, I honestly couldn't give enough praise to what I got to see over here. And the last thing I'll say about Weekend Update is I have my trusty curling rock, or my Dutch sex toy, right over here behind me. So I just thought I would bring that here. I'll just I'll remove the hold on. I will remove. I can't do it right now. All right. Well, I have it behind me in the background. So if you're an audio listener, you will get to see that as well. Oh, there you go. Here. I have it right there. Okay, let's get on to the second half of our show when we got to see Santa Song. And this was a song sung by Billie Eilish with Kate McKinnon and Ego Wodum in the background, and singing about an awkward encounter with Santa, who ends up being played by Keenan. So, Haynes, thoughts on Santa Song?
This was okay. It was just a really interesting premise, which is that apparently everyone who meets Santa just has like a really awkward encounter. So that was kind of strange idea to build a whole sketch around that. You know, we had a couple of, you know, little chuckles in there, I guess. You know, it's funny, them just explaining their interactions and why she, you know, made finger guns at him. And Ego obviously keeps hitting on him really inappropriately. I think at one point she admits to sexually assaulting him without his permission. I don't know. I wasn't in love with it. It was, you know, it was very Christmassy. I'm a big Christmas guy. I like, you know, I like the red and gold and stuff, but this didn't do it for me.
Okay. Liz, did it do it for you more than Andrew's?
I think I'm kind of on the same page as Andrew. I feel like I think it was kind of just an examination of social awkwardness within a very weird framework, and I think there were good bits in it, but I do feel like there was kind of like a larger game missing to some degree. But I think I saw somebody in the comments flying by here that Billie seemed the most comfortable with that in that sketch, and I very much agree. I think like that was like her safe, not her. It felt like it pushed her a little more into her comfort zone, and I think that really ended up working for her. Also, I loved her dress.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that I think it was Casey in the chat who asked about who wrote this one, and this was not Please Don't Destroy. This was Ken Sublette, Dresden, Gates, and Alex English wrote this one. Rebecca, thoughts on what we got to see over here?
Yeah, meh. Like, it didn't do it for me. I was like bored. I kept like tuning out a little, but it was super impressive that not only was Billie in almost every sketch, I think, besides the cold open, and that could just be from my memory and not a fact, but I'm pretty sure she was in almost every. And the fact that she did 2 performances, was in a lot of sketches, and then sang for a third time is just super impressive. That like that wears you down. And she kept it up, and like adding a singing portion, she definitely felt the most comfortable. She sounded great, but I just didn't think it was funny. Like there was one funny line that like I'm thinking back now, and it was when Kate said "my wife," and then besides that, I was like, I didn't even.
That's what did it for you.
That's I don't know. I mean,
I get it.
I love Borat so much. I feel like see right there in my water. So that was like Borat, and then that was it. I didn't think it was super funny.
Okay, got it. Okay, let's talk about Kyle's holiday. And this was a pre-tape. And again, I was a little bit surprised because what we usually get is the Kyle stuff gets cut. And I would expect like maybe they would put the Please Don't Destroy stuff in here. But actually, it was kind of nice to see that the Kyle thing got on. And we have Kyle. He ends up talking to Adie and Punky. He talks to Bowen with a really wonderful line about his parents' plane crashing for the holidays. We get to see Jacob the Page. And I know a lot of people were asking about Jacob the Page. And his name is Jacob Kaplan. He's I believe, a writing assistant at SNL. That's who played that Jacob the Page. He talks to Billie Eilish. And then obviously this great ending we got to see with Mikey Day and Kyle Mooney. So Liz, can I start with you on this one? What did you think of our pre-tape we got to see here?
Very fun. I mean, I feel like I kind of miss. I feel like with these behind the scenes sketches, I guess, air quotes for those listening. I miss kind of the days when he had more, when Beck was there and he had that connection, and he had Leslie Jones and they had that whole thing. I miss those elements of it to some degree because I don't feel like he's established those same connections with any sort of real relationship within this like meta universe with some of the newer cast members. So like, putting all that together, I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a lot of fun in a lot of respects, and also mostly because of the dark twist at the end.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, like, look, if you've been watching this podcast, if you've been watching the SNL Network and previously SNL Stats last year, like, I love meta. Meta works for me every single time. So I think for me, the more meta jokes you can do, the stuff about Beck Bennett, the stuff about the Please Don't Destroy guys saying that he shouldn't be alive, like, all that stuff always gets me going. Haynes, can you tell me your thoughts on the pre-tape?
Yeah, I thought this was pretty good. Now I'll say I thought it was very good. I think we had a lot of, it felt like kind of touched on between the Lonely Christmas and Andy's Amazing Animals and then Kyle's Holiday. We really kind of touched on the dark humor that Liz and I love so much. So I enjoyed that, and it was full of great lines, like line after line after line. Like you said, the line to Bowen about his, if the plane crashes or anything, that was very funny. And, when he's crying in front of the page and going, I'm just crying because thinking about Santa delivering all those packages in one night. Guy's a monster. And, so I really enjoyed all of this. I mean, line after line was really good. And, the Mikey, the murder fantasy was really great. I loved the I'm Don Jr. Line. So it was just like, to me, it was line after line that was all just really, really funny. This, I think, was really well done. The pre-tapes tonight were just hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's moments like these, Rebecca, when we see Kyle Mooney putting in his own pre-tape saying, they still don't know how to use me on the show, or Keenan still calls me Beck Bennett, that makes me think that potentially somewhere out there, Kyle Mooney has put on our podcast before.
Yes, I mean, just a fun fact, I went to prom with Jacob Kaplan, but unfortunately not this page Jacob Kaplan. So
okay. I was going to say, like, wow.
No, that wasn't my Jacob Kaplan. But yeah, I mean, just I agree with everything that's been said and that the chat is saying. Kyle this is where he's comfortable and he just plays himself. Like, I always say that him and Pete Davidson just play themselves well. And I think that he does it, and you could feel like the social awkwardness when he enters a room. And I love these meta segments here, and the fact like they put so much thought into a skit that doesn't look like they put so much thought. Like, why is Bowen in a full elf suit? Like, just the little things like that like they really planned this out, and it was cool to see Billy in this sketch, and then the whole dark ending to it. I think there was just like an underlying theme of dark and kind of anger here also in Weekend Update. So I think that it was great and just super funny.
Yeah, you clearly went to prom with the wrong Jacob Kaplan.
I know.
Yeah,
but
what a
Jacob Kaplan though. That's almost there.
Just not counts. The Jacob Kaplan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted. Maybe maybe through your connections we'll be able to get Jacob Kaplan on the podcast one day. Okay, let's talk about our final sketch of the evening, and that was hotel ad for the Business Garden Inn and Suites. We got to see Kate and Billie. We had 80 as Doreen, and a Phineas appearance in this one. And my assumption is that they kept this sketch as opposed to the other ones that we talked about earlier because of the Phineas appearance in this sketch. So that's probably where the workings went into deciding to keep this one at the end of the night. Okay, Haynes, thoughts on hotel ad?
Well, this is basically a Kate and 80 sketch. That's the structure. It landed exactly where it's supposed to land. It goes at the end of the night, and it almost seems like this could have been something that, they've just had sitting around waiting for Kate and 80 to play those parts when they decided to pop it into an episode and just handed the role to Billie instead. It got a lot of laughs out of me. I really enjoyed it. There was just a lot of good bits that I think we can all relate to about staying at like one-star hotels, but just like a little bit not particularly special. Hey, like they always say, they may not be the Ritz-Carlton. And I know that we can all relate to the yogurt being locked up at 8:59. Like, if you want yogurt, wake up at 4, bitch. Like,
that's a sound clip.
Yeah, and so it was very funny to me. Yeah, located between a DMV and a darkened Sonic. I mean, it had a lot of good lines, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. Yeah, to me, this was like a B+ A- kind of sketch.
Yeah, I do have to feel like they were like whoever wrote this was holding it and waiting for Kate McKinnon to come back and then could use it on the show tonight. Liz, thoughts on hotel ad?
I mean, I've stayed at that hotel many times, and it is as described. I think the thing I enjoyed about the sketch is definitely the point at which, like, it almost seemed like Kate McKinnon was actively trying to get Billie to break, to the point of like poking her, and that's always fun to see. That was a good time. Yeah, I mean, I think somebody in the comments mentioned that it had like ex-porn star vibes, and yeah, it did. I fondly remember those sketches. So I'm glad that their spirit lives on in some way.
Yeah.
who wrote that one? Do we know?
This sketch was written by new writer Billy Domino, Anna Dresden, and Ken Sublette wrote Hotel Ad. Yeah, I just really love the wake up at 4, bitch. I love that. Okay, Rebecca, thoughts on hotel ad?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it definitely was only kept, I think, at the end here because of the Phineas cameo in it, and I thought he was probably the best part of the whole sketch, but I also just love him, so I was kind of hoping to see him the entire night, and then they finally did at the end. I don't think this was last sketch worthy, but I do think it was funny. I love when Kate plays that sort of character, and Billie did a great job. And if she didn't break, it wouldn't have been as funny. So I'm happy that happened and that Kate was wet egging her on and to kind of break a little more. So I thought it was good, but a little disappointed to have that be the last of the night.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it seems like there are people who really enjoy this episode, and I felt there were parts here that actually really did work. So I'm curious to hear everybody's ratings for the night. So the way we do this is out of 10. Chat, I will ask you to put your ratings in the chat, and we will bring this up on screen, and I will go around the panel and ask for their ratings out of 10 for the Billie Eilish Double Duty episode. So Haynes, start with you. Rating out of 10.
I mean, I think this is a solid 7.5 or something. Maybe, yeah. At least I did say a 7. It's pretty good for me. I think I liked it more than you.
Okay, Liz, what about you?
Feeling 8.5-ish. I feel like nothing was actively offensive, and a lot of it was really solid.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Rebecca, where are you on it?
Yeah, I'm a pretty solid 7 here. I'm seeing a lot of people agree. I think Billie did a great job. She's not going to stop making more music, so I hope as she continues to, she is brought on as the host in addition to musical guests in the future again, because that was super cool to see her in this kind of light. But I think it was pretty solid. It was a good episode all around, so I'd say a 7.
Yeah, I think this is the first time all season that I'm probably the lowest on the episode. I actually think it was probably for me a 5 out of 10. I don't know. I'm not trying to be super harsh, but I do think that you know, there have been much better episodes this season, at least for sure. And I just think overall, like, there were some really great things, including some of the pre-tapes we saw tonight. Probably the best pre-tape night of the season. I think I saw that in the chat at one point as well. But the live sketches for me, there wasn't anyone in particular that I felt like really got me going. So my hope is that it all comes together, obviously, next week for the Paul Rudd episode that we'll see for the Christmas show. But I'm so glad that people did enjoy it. And sometimes you just need a second watch on these things. So I'm happy to be proven wrong by some of the other panelists we'll get to see on the roundtable on Monday night as well. Okay. Let's talk about what's coming up this week on the SNL Network. And if you haven't caught up over the last couple of weeks, we had some really fun shows in the last 2 weeks. We had our By the Numbers show. We also spoke to former cast member Dean Edwards, which was really great. He was a cast member in the early 2000s. He talked about what it was like to be on SNL right after 9/11. So really incredible interview if you want to go back and check that out. We had a very fun superfan takeover talking about different Christmas episodes and different Christmas sketches. And then we also had the premiere of Hollywood Dish. And Rebecca, do you want to explain what Hollywood Dish is to all of our listeners who haven't checked out that show yet?
Yes, Hollywood Dish is a show that Nicole Rovine and I are going to host every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, where we kind of just break down all hot gossip in Hollywood nowadays and give people a lot of background for potential topics that we think might be referenced in the following episode. So we're going to do this the Thursday before every Saturday showing. So to kind of give people their weekly update on all things going on from two celebrity and pop culture obsessed people. And we will be bringing on a ton of fun guests in the future to get their take and opinion on it. And we actually have a fun thing on that is a bingo card that has been posted on the SNL Network Instagram today for you to be able to sign up for a custom bingo card for the Saturday night viewing or whenever you watch it. So really exciting, and tune in.
Yeah, that's cool. And really, the point of that show is, like, if you don't know what's happening in pop culture, just watch it, and then you'll be able to, you know, get some of the jokes on SNL that week. Okay, here is our schedule coming up this week. So, like I said, Monday night, join us for the Billie Eilish Roundtable. We have some really fun guests for that one. We have Bill Kenny, Sammy Kay, and Morgan Killeran joining us on Monday. On Wednesday, I will be joined on the Patron Feedback Show by patron Ike Moore. He is a very active patron who's always in our chat, and really looking forward to getting to chat with him on Wednesday. Make sure to send in your questions for the Patron Feedback Show. We put up that on Twitter and Instagram, the question form, and you can send them in. We will answer all of your questions and talk about what is happening in SNL social media. Lots of stuff to talk about as we head towards the holidays. On Thursday, Rebecca and Nicole will be back for Hollywood Dish, and then join us in 1 week from tonight to talk about the mid-season finale. Paul Rudd joining the 5 Timers Club. And Charlie XCX will be there as well, and I'm sure she will be great. So I'm so excited to talk about that as we head towards the holidays. I really appreciate everybody joining us in the chat tonight. It was great to, you know, stay up late with all of you to talk about the episode. Thank you to all of our panelists. Andrew Haynes, I will start with you. Where can people reach out to you?
You can always find me on Twitter at SNL Has a Cast and on Instagram at CanDrewAttitude. And of course, I love being on this show and just yapping about SNL with you guys. This was so much fun.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to speaking to you again before the holidays for something special we have planned coming up in the next couple of weeks. Liz Shannon Miller, it was so wonderful to get to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so like I said, I missed hearing your commentary on SNL, and it was really fun to get to talk to you. So thank you.
Of course, I miss being here.
Yeah. So where can people reach out to you? And please tell the listeners what you've been up to as well, because I think you, like, on your I saw on your Twitter accounts, you're now part of Consequence, right?
Yeah, I just joined the website Consequence as senior entertainment editor. So that's been really fun. It's brand new, but I'm having a great time so far, and it's a great team. So you can find my writing there at consequence.net. That's net, not com. Don't put that in as your email address. You're going to have some problems on your first day at work. And you can also find me on Twitter at Lizlet.
Awesome. And she's a really great follow, so make sure to follow Liz. Rebecca North, thank you for joining us. It's so great to hear from you for the second time this week. Rebecca, where can people reach out to you?
If you want to hear me talk to myself, follow me at @RebBarbecue on Twitter. If you want to see me be dumb, follow me on TikTok. And I just love an Instagram follow. So at @RebBarbecue on all socials, and tune into Hollywood Dish. And this was so fun as a hot take show. I loved being here, and the chat has been awesome. So hopefully I could be on some more of these shows in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just ask, for people who haven't checked out your TikTok, is there a TikTok comparison between a character in the TikTok sketch tonight to your TikTok?
No, I think early pandemic, I was the dancer for sure. And then I was like, I am 23 years old. I should probably stop doing this. So then I kind of relate to the Billie in the aspect of me just being in pandemic, walking around my neighborhood, making TikToks where everyone's looking at me like, who is this girl? So
Yes.
my older content definitely reflects that more.
Yes, I'm glad you were going to say 80 Bryant's when she says, when you finish homework to choke out your sub. All right, well, we're going to talk about this a lot more on Monday. So thank you to everybody, like I said, for joining us. You can follow me at Jon Schneider 24 if you would like to speak to me directly about anything we're doing at the SNL Network. Make sure to follow the SNL Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Please subscribe to us on YouTube and anywhere you are listening to podcasts. We really appreciate that, especially as we head towards the holidays. Okay, everyone, we will see you on Monday night. Have a good night.
Bye.